And welcome to another episode of the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club podcast. I'm Raizel, and I'm here with my stepsis and co-host, Malya.
Hi.
And Reiki energy healer.
Doesn't get old.
It won't.
It's still in my bio, like my current work bio. And now every time I look at it, I chuckle to myself.
Is podcaster.
Podcaster should be up there. Maybe that's what I should really do, is I should take out Reiki Energy Healer and just put in podcaster and like a link to our podcast. It's
especially because the thing is, like, podcaster and Reiki Energy Healer in a way, might kind of give you the oomph you were looking for in your bio, but one's a lie and one's actually true.
Listen, it's not technically a lie.
No, it's actually, you went to a workshop.
I went to a workshop, and at the end of that workshop, I received a certification. So when I say I'm a certified Reiki energy healer, that's a fact.
Right, that's true.
Podcaster, I have a little more to sort of say about.
You do.
So perhaps you're right. That would give me the kind of the extra dimension that I'm looking for in the bio. So, you know what? I'm going to get on that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, happy 40th birthday.
Thank you.
I always love that you turn the birthday. I'm going to, 6 months before I turn it, because you're 6 months older than me.
Yes.
I like that you get to kind of feel out. So how's 40 going?
40 is great. Like I feel like I find that, contrary to what you might think, I'm like going out of my way to tell people that I'm 40. Like I just slip it into conversation. Like, yeah. And I mean, I'm 40, or like, listen, I've been doing this for 40 years. Like
I also do that, and I'm not 40 yet, so I deeply relate to this.
Because I feel like I don't know, like people are like, it gives me a gravitas,
Mm-hmm.
like yes, like William's reminding me I can now learn Kabbalah, Zohar.
Wow.
I'm officially, I have that level of lived wisdom where I can access these things. So, it's something to celebrate.
It's really exciting. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, tonight we're talking about Hot Lumberjack. But before that, anything we want to say about any of the previous podcasts? We released two. We were on a little bit of a hiatus. There was some health stuff, nothing. No one should be worried. Everyone's okay. But there were some delays. Everyone's healthy and good.
Yes.
We're grateful to be back. And so we, has anything come up for you with Sadie on a plate?
Well, I do feel like the second season was long awaited, and we made a splash because we released those 2 episodes in kind of swift succession. I'll say friend of the show, Alan Zeitlin, who I think did our first journalist, was the first journalist to write a piece covering this podcast for an illustrious Jewish publication whose name I'm forgetting at the moment. I think was inspired by us to start his own podcast. Like he's now like, and he's because he doesn't have a William Levin like we do, he's like signed with a podcast production company. He's like put out a bunch of money. He called us and he was telling us a whole story about his first episode. He had Kosha Dills as a guest. Yeah, and like it's a film. He's a film critic, so it's going to be like talking about, so he and Kosha Dills went to see Oppenheimer together, but then apparently Kosha Dills like forgot that they saw it together. It actually sounds great. It sounds like a great podcast. He was talking about how it bombed, and I was like, this sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to check this out. But by the way, I think people are surprised to hear that we're not signed with one of these companies, because I think it's, if you don't have a William Levin, which most podcasters don't, you do need to have a company. So did I ever speak on this podcast about how we have a frum cousin who's a therapist and he has a podcast on erectile dysfunction?
You've definitely told me that, and I don't remember if it was on this podcast or not.
Yeah, so our cousin Moshe is a sex therapist and an observant Jew. but he has an entire podcast. It's not an episode. I'm not telling you there was one episode on erectile dysfunction.
That's the topic.
That's the podcast
at hand.
Yeah. And
is it popular?
And he said, I think it is. I don't know anything about stats, but I think it is.
Okay.
And I think erectile dysfunction, for example, might be more widespread than Jewish romance is of interest to people, possibly.
I hear what you're saying. But I'm sorry. Is it about erectile dysfunction specific to the Orthodox community no? I see. It's general. Got it. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, yes.
Yes.
I would imagine.
You see?
There's a larger market there for sure.
Right. And so, but I said something and he said something, we were talking about podcasting and he was like, well, what podcast company? And I said, no, we don't have that. And he said, no, you do. Which one? I said, I don't think we do, but now we have a pod page. She's like, oh, then it's pod page. I said, no, really, William produces it, the entire thing.
Yeah.
And just like puts it on every podcast platform.
Right.
Which is incredible.
Right. Most people wouldn't know how to do that because they don't have an autodidact phenomenon.
Wait, I had some feedback from a few at the last episode. Well, one thing that happens is that people start, we've talked about this, like texting, but while they're listening, but without saying, hey, I'm listening to the episode right now. And so I start getting a flurry of texts that it actually takes me it takes me a second to kind of recalibrate realize what's happening because it's just kind of like a ton of texts. And so whenever my mom listened, she got all excited. She listened out of order. Our parents listened out of order. They listened to Sadie on a Plate first.
Oh, did they?
Actually, at the time of recording this, I'm not even sure if they listened yet to Unorthodox Love.
Oh. Yeah. My dad, I knew there was some confusion because I know he was asking me, when's the new episode? He was asking me something and it seemed like they didn't realize there were two. Yeah.
Right. And then a couple of people had some thoughts on Unorthodox Love, specifically what's ordered on a first date. It's, I guess, now time for our Jonathan segment. But Jonathan, he was excited about his segment, A, and B, was surprised that we didn't know that the order is a Diet Coke. That is the order.
Oh.
And was very surprised that we didn't know that. And here's the thing. Then
how does he know that?
I don't know. I guess he just has his finger on the pulse of the community in a way we don't.
All right. So we rely on our listeners to fill in the blanks here.
But here's the thing. I guess I haven't ever really talked to my brother-in-law, Avi, about the over 100, or probably between 80 and 100 first shidduch dates he had, many of which were in hotel lobbies and often a Starbucks, which I learned from Mitch's little sister, Esther, Eileen, Rachel, Raizel. Esther goes by Eileen now.
Got it.
But my sister-in-law.
Yeah.
So Auntie S. She started to send me 1,000 text messages just last night. She must have been catching up late. And she said also the order is most often a Coke. She said the same thing, not Diet Coke.
Okay.
She just said a Coke.
What about at Starbucks? I went on some Starbucks shidduch type dates. You just get a coffee, like you just get a regular coffee with milk.
Not if you're Chalav Yisrael, which my brother-in-law is.
Oh, right. Then what, you get like a milk
dates.
You get like a milk substitute then? Or you just go black? Like, what do you do?
This is a good question. I'm actually going to phone a friend. I'll get back to you. I have to ask Avi and Shandy about this. But she said Starbucks is a big date spot where people are super fancy. Did you know about that? They dress very fancy for the Starbucks date. Hotel lobbies big in New York and New Jersey. We know. Maybe get a Coke. Avi's been on a lot. Big no-no to get food. Big no-no.
Right. Well, I think in general, shidduch dates are always sort of fancy, like wherever you are. I mean, I feel like in general, really frum people are just sort of always dressing up. Don't you feel like there's not a lot of casual wear?
Yeah, there's
always.
A formality. Yes, exactly. That makes sense. So yes, there were some thoughts on that, specifically the Diet Coke and the Coke I thought was of interest.
Noted.
People were excited about Sadie on a Plate.
Oh, one thing that happened for... Yeah, please. No.
Please. The author Amanda Elliott of Sadie on a Plate commented, "Thank you for reading," which made me feel like, I'm not sure if she's listening. I want her to.
Right.
But we'll see.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment, of course.
That's nice that she wrote right. She commented like right away, right when we posted it. I felt like that was nice. A quick.
Also, my colleague yesterday, this is related and seems like it's not, came into my office and was like, "Did you ever review The Matchmaker's Gift on the podcast?" I said I did. And then about 20 minutes later, the author, Linda Loigman, commented happy birthday on the birthday post to you.
Oh, yeah, I saw that she did that.
Yeah.
Wait, that was a coincidence?
Yeah, like my colleague yesterday.
That's so weird. Yeah.
And then a few minutes after she asked me, I said, we did read it and we chatted and she DM'd us and she said I could listen to a whole podcast just of you two talking about your parents. And then truly a few minutes later, she commented happy birthday to you.
That's so fun. I'm getting birthday wishes from all these cool romance writer ladies. It's awesome.
I know. Okay, so what were you going to say about the last episodes?
Oh, I was just going to say that an exciting development that has happened in my life, in my actual life, as a result of this podcast, is that a sort of mom acquaintance of mine whose daughter's in my daughter's preschool class had this like really successful web series that was all about like the kink scene in Los Angeles. Like she went to LA to like get it developed, like to try to sell it for as a, to get a deal on like developing it. Like it was a hugely successful web series. In the web series days, came to our live event at the Rip Bodice, and afterward was like, if you ever want to learn more about the kink community, like I can let you know. And I was like, absolutely. Like, and she was like, let's have a tea party and like invite all the moms. Anyway, fast forward, it's her birthday. She's having a birthday tea and I'm invited. So I'm really hoping this is the follow-up to
this is the kink tea.
The kink tea. Don't know. Could just be a regular birthday non-kink tea. But this is all, next level because of this podcast. So
wow.
I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay, can't wait to hear what happens.
It's pretty exciting.
At the kink tea.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yep.
There was recently a memoir that came out in maybe January or February, sometime in the new year, since season 2 of this podcast started, written by a Park Slope mom, a memoir about polyamory called More. There's a lot of hoopla when it first came out. Like the Times did you read about it?
Yes, I did read about it. Yes.
So I read it. And
you read the book?
I read the book.
Oh, wow.
And she's Jewish.
Oh.
So I was like, is this a Jewish romance? Is this a Jewish romance? There were 2 times her Jewish identity came out in the entire length of the book. So it would be a real stretch. But she is a Park Slope mom, and I feel she would be happy to come chat with us about it.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And it kind of, there's a little bit of a relationship between that and the book we're talking about today, actually. But I heard an interview with her, and wasn't it like she discovered that her mom had an open relationship, marriage, and she never realized it growing up? Mm-hmm. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that came out in the book.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, there is a tie-in to kind of open marriages or whatever in the book we're reading today.
There sure is. Let's get to Hot Lumberjack.
There's a lot of build-up to this episode, I have to say. I feel like
a lot of build-up.
Hot Lumberjack has become like a shorthand, I feel like, in our little podcast world that we've created for like the much anticipated sequel.
I completely agree about that, and it didn't disappoint.
Not at all. Not at all.
For those I guess let's say this. If you're new here, and you want to catch up on the first of these two books by Aviva Blakeman, the first is called Hot Rabbi, and we had a lot to say about it.
Was one of our early reads.
Very early. We had a lot to say about it. We learned a lot. It was hot and heavy.
Yep.
And if you want to start with Hot Rabbi, I would say pause this one, listen to Hot Rabbi, come on back to Hot Lumberjack. Not necessary.
But fun.
Not necessary, but you're welcome to do that.
Sure.
Hot Lumberjack takes place in the same small town.
Yep.
Called Campbell.
Right. Where is this small town?
It's like, if there is a place like Campbell, I want to go there, but I just think it is just so out there. I think it's in the South.
It seems like not near New York. I don't know.
It's not like a suburb of New York. It feels like it's in the Midwest or in the South.
Right.
For no reason other than a gut. Something in my gut tells me that. No clues in the book about that.
I mean, do you feel, because you've talked about on previous podcasts, like that you appreciate when you feel like you really have a sense of the place. Did you feel like you had a sense of this place, or like it kind of could have been it's a little town?
It's any town, but this any town has some really specific things to it that I enjoy.
Right.
It doesn't, it's Jewish in a very specific way, which we should talk about.
Yes.
It's young. Like, how old are these characters? I think we are so New York centered or New York based, and I could be wrong about this, and I want to talk about it, that when we read these stories of other young people, and okay, we're 40 and 39 and a half, so so like maybe we're not as young as we feel.
We were young.
But we're young. So when we read books about other young people or people who are dating or doing whatever they're doing.
Right.
And it feels, because this doesn't feel suburban exactly, but we're sort of like, huh?
Totally. And I also feel like we've talked about this, and I know I've also talked about this with other people in my life. Like when I'm like, how come when I was a kid, all the adults were married? Like where were every adult I knew was married. But then I'm like, that's because we lived in the suburbs. The suburbs are where people go when they're married and have kids and want to raise a family. And the single people stay in the city. So,
right, but there's definitely single people everywhere.
I guess the idea of a young seeming single person who sort of, it seems like this main character is like living amongst mostly married with kids people in her world, but she's like bought a house, she's settled down, she's like living this suburban lifestyle by herself. I'm not familiar with that, but maybe that's just my like New York City centric 40 years of life that I've lived. Maybe that's actually most people's experience.
I don't know.
Is that what you're saying? You felt like
that's
was
what I'm
strange
saying.
Or like not so?
You're saying exactly what I'm feeling.
Yes.
But I don't know if it's like a strange bias that's untrue.
Right.
Because the thing is, most young single people don't buy in the city because probably they can't afford it. But it's like, this show Love is Blind takes place often in like random place. Like there was a whole Love is Blind cast that was from maybe Atlanta, and this current cast is from Charlotte. And I think that some of those single people own houses.
But I'm saying, are there single people in your suburb where you live now? Like, do you know people who are?
There's probably divorced people who are dating, so they're single and divorced.
Okay. I think that's a different category, but I hear you.
A listener of our podcast who is one of my close friends, my first dear friend, is divorced and on the apps, and said that a lot of guys from my town come up. So there have to be but they could be divorced.
Sure.
And then there's probably young people who still live at home, but they're in college or grad school or that. There's probably some of that. And if there are I think there might be. I just don't know.
And when you were a kid, were all the adults either married or divorced?
Yeah, but is that because of who we socialized with?
Right. I don't know.
I don't know.
But right,
because
there is
where
something.
There was the single guidance counselor and teachers and all these different people who worked at the high school and the elementary school, where they weren't commuting in from the city to Great Neck.
Maybe they were. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't either. Okay. Anyway.
Yes.
This town, I don't know. It's called Campbell. There's a lot of things about it that I think are intriguing and funny.
Totally.
Now, Abby is our main character.
Right.
I cannot believe she's a preschool director, a Jewish preschool director. As a Jewish preschool director.
Yes.
This is a huge moment in my life.
Yeah. This is as insider as it gets.
A horny preschool director of a synagogue preschool.
Quite.
Wow. We start the book and she is in a car having sex with a guy.
Yep.
She's on top of this guy in a car.
Yep.
And they're like talking a lot about what's going on.
There's a lot of talking.
There's a lot of talking.
This is the first book where it really opens right onto sex that we've read, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. And it's a really intense scene. But the thing that I just laughed out loud from is that the very next chapter is like, show and tell at the preschool was a thing that Abby started. It's like,
yeah.
This first chapter is them in the car, and the second chapter
is show and tell.
The preschool did show and tell on Mondays. It was a thing Abby instituted during her first year as principal. Originally, the parents were dubious, but there was something about getting the week started with a thing that made you happy that worked for the kids. Hilarious.
Also, that's weird. Like, why would the parents be dubious of show and tell?
Here's the thing. I think that what the author Aviva was trying to do here as a preschool director, I think what she was trying to do is like is talk about how the parents have a lot of opinions, and the part of the work of the preschool director is managing the parents.
Yes.
I don't know that Aviva
is a preschool director, right?
Is exactly, and was able to actually put in the actual things that the parents of a Jewish preschool might truly give the preschool director a hard time about.
Right.
So, for example, show and tell, but that's what she was trying to do, I think. Like,
totally.
There's a big thing with this Haggadah. Like, the biggest issue
yes.
is the parents on the PTA
There's
board.
like a riot over the Haggadah.
There's a riot over what Haggadah is being used for the preschool Seder. I should be so lucky that parents would care.
That's what I was
going
to say. Like, okay, because I have zero experience as a preschool educator of any kind, but I have a lot of experience as a preschool parent. And I would say
exactly
of a Jewish preschool. And I would say like, I generally have zero opinions about anything, but I would definitely like, if some parent called me and was like, can you believe what Haggadah they're using? I would be like, what? Hello? Like, I wouldn't even know how to respond to something like that. Like, do you experience this? Like, what are parents very attached to that sort of thing?
What Haggadah we use or any that, no, right? So it's like, is a lot of the job as a preschool director managing, managing parent concerns, questions, all sorts of things, just supporting parents through parenting, answering their questions about the school, curriculum, and whatever, behavior, something going on developmentally, tons of things.
Right.
So tons of things. But that specific thing of what Haggadah it's just not.
And also the idea of like the parents as a group, like you're describing like working with individual parents who have concerns about their kid's not whatever, cutting on the lines, I don't know, whatever kids are supposed to do. But have you experienced where the parents as a group like unify and they're like, we need this, or like a bunch of us are upset about this?
Yes. Often parents will say we and imply that it's many.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Sometimes it isn't, but yes, parents could say we, or all of us, or many of us. Yeah. But it's. I'm trying to think of an example that would. It's just this particular. That's what she was trying. She was trying to invoke like how the challenges that a character like Abby would have.
Totally.
It's just the specifics. Of course, they wouldn't care about show and tell.
Right. But I thought it was fun. It is fun that like she's sort of living in this world where like, and also there's all these like people who have these positions of importance that I like couldn't even keep track of the difference between them. Like the PTA president, the parent board president. There were like several of these people who seemed to have like particular power but they were also part of her life because she lived in this community. So they were like, she knew them and then one of them is like this guy who she's having sex with in the opening scenes, like ex-girlfriend, you learn. Like, so there's all this crossover.
So much. Oh my God. Really. And The rabbi. Okay, so the second time she sees Elon. So by the way, the guy that she was sleeping with in the car is this guy Elon, which Malya told us on our last episode means tree, which is so sexy and cool because he's the hot lumberjack.
Yes.
Okay, so love that. And she went to Hebrew school with him. Like she's known him since she was 11, but she really feels she doesn't know him at all. Like he just went to Hebrew school with him.
Right, they're not friends.
They're not friends, but it sounds like they kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
11 sounds late, I think, to like start meeting someone in Hebrew school.
Right, like 11, you're almost finished
11's
with
like
Hebrew
you're
school.
almost exactly. But okay, 11 was the age.
Whatever.
But then the second time that she sees him, she is at the co-op, like the food co-op. This is what I'm saying. Like it's not just like a regular small town. It's a cool small town. There's a co-op, right? So she's at the co-op.
Right.
And she's buying a lot of greens because she has guinea pigs, and her guinea pigs have Jewish names like latke, applesauce, and sour cream. I do want to put a pin in that and talk more about that today.
Absolutely.
Animals, pets with Jewish names.
Have to revisit that.
What'd you say?
I said have to revisit that. I agree.
We have to.
Yes.
But so the next time she sees him is at the co-op, and they have like a hostile relationship. Like even in the car, it was sort of like, why'd we even come out here anyway? While I didn't bring you out here for this. Like they were fighting about something. They were arguing about who sang one of like a Frank Sinatra song.
Yeah, this is funny to me. Like the whole conceit of this is like okay. So again, I've asked this before. Like, is this the enemies to lovers? This is enemies to lovers
for sure. This is
okay. But why are they enemies?
Why are they enemies? Doesn't make any sense. Like they have a very prickly relationship. I'm using the word prickly because the word is used so much in the book. But like they're fighting in the car while they're having sex in the car. They're like arguing over this Frank Sinatra song, and then. Honestly, it might not be a Frank Sinatra song. This might be part of the fight, but some song.
Honestly, I think that they took it on because it made the sex hotter. Don't you? Like it almost felt like they were like, let's kind of hate each other because it makes this more fun, as opposed to just like we're Hebrew school like alums who are like having a one-night stand like in a car in our small town. Like I don't know.
Right. It was better for them to hate each other. So then they like have a fight at the co-op about whether or not she's about vegetarianism, but it gets very hot very fast at the co-op. And this woman, Simcha, approaches them. And I wanted to first say, A, have you ever met a woman named Simcha? I've only met guys named Simcha.
I have met a couple women. I feel like Simcha as a woman is like a new agey women's name. That's
okay,
like, yes.
I really like it.
I like it too.
But it took me a while in the book to realize because I was picturing Simcha.
Oh, you thought it was a man.
And then it didn't make sense based on what was happening, really.
Okay. Right.
Just because of gender stereotypes more than anything else. But like Simcha, it made more sense based on who she was writing.
Right.
To be who she was in this book, which was kind of a pill.
Total pill. Oh, horrible.
So Simcha, while Alon and how do you pronounce it? Do you say Alon, Elon?
I would say Elon.
Elon. Okay. So while Elon and Abby were sort of like fighting, but like starting to hook up in the food co-op.
Yeah, doesn't he bring her into like a little side? I'm imagining, I feel like a lot of these co-ops have like a little side room with like the coffee in it, or like, I don't know, like the...
like storage boxes of like cashews that need to be bagged.
Totally. And she's like pushed up against the shopping cart. I don't know, whatever.
There's like hemp seeds. There's a lot of hemp seeds.
There's hemp. Yeah. There's chia. There's all the different ground.
Yeah.
seeds.
Dried figs, dates.
Sure.
Yes. Yes. I don't even know. For me, it was out in the open, but maybe it was in a side room.
I thought it was in like, I feel like all these co-ops have a side room where it's like this way. There's like a little handmade sign, like this way for the Sumatra, or like, I don't know, whatever. Something. Also, they're they're extremely antagonistic. Like,
yeah, so they're having that like hateful conversation, angry, aggressive, antagonistic conversation about
kind of about
pigs,
nothing, about like how much
nothing.
greens she has in her cart. She's like, how dare you say I have a lot of greens in my cart?
But it's like what are you getting so upset about?
I don't get it.
So she's so upset, and then Simcha comes up to her and him while they're like doing stuff.
Yes.
And she's like, makes this comment about coleslaw.
I thought of you immediately with this comment because I know your feelings on coleslaw.
So so obviously first of all, I don't like coleslaw.
Right.
But I didn't realize, did you, I guess I just, because of the Simcha thing threw me off with a little at the beginning, but so like, her point was like, oh, you have coleslaw in your cart.
Like he was supposed to be, wasn't he the coleslaw? Like it's like something you're pretending you don't like, but really you do, or something like a secret.
Exactly. Let me try to get
you're trying to deny, like coleslaw.
Yeah. It's like this. You're picking up some coleslaw. This is what she says, okay? And then Ilan's entire body tensed, and the hand that was still fisted in Abby's hair yanked involuntarily. She made a sound that was almost a yelp, and he forced himself to release her hair more smoothly, aware that meant hairpins scattered to the floor. Abby's cheeks got redder. Simcha's smirk got deeper. I don't eat coleslaw, Abby said, confused. Abby said, confusion written on her face. Nobody ever admits they do, Simcha said, her eyes flicking back to Ilan and Abby. Did you get Jordana's email about the Haggadot for the preschool?
Wow, she really pivoted there.
So glad we mentioned the Haggadahs.
Yeah. All these women are very fixated on the Haggadahs.
But it's like, could you imagine? She goes, nobody ever admits they do. And then just looks at Ilan. He's the coleslaw.
Yeah, he's the coleslaw.
Wow. The chutzpah, the nerve.
Although you later kind of realize what the backstory. Like, I just thought she was being bitchy to Abby because they have that kind of like, I don't know, preschool principal board chair frenemy thing going on. I don't know. Like there's supposed to be some kind of like jockeying for power. But then you find out later on that there's a whole backstory regarding Ilan.
Yes, we'll talk more about that. But then later he says to Abby to try to explain it. He says, coleslaw, Ilan said, a tension headache hitting him so hard he almost felt dizzy, is a side dish that nobody admits they enjoy, but somehow it ends up on everyone's plate. Oh, she was clearly putting this information in context, thinking back to the way Simcha had looked at him, the knowing tilt of her chin. Simcha Hallerman is a massive pill. No arguments for me, Ilan said. Yuck.
Do people really feel like that about coleslaw? I thought everyone likes coleslaw. I thought you were the exception, to be honest.
I don't know. Listeners, let us know.
I love coleslaw.
let us know. We'll make a poll in the Spotify app.
It's a good poll. Yeah.
I think that for me, describing coleslaw as a side dish that nobody likes but ends up on everyone's plate, like, is the most accurate description I've ever heard.
Do people deny? But I'm saying, do people deny? Like, is there something shameful about liking coleslaw? I don't think I was ever aware of that nuance.
It's impossible for me to know because of how much I hate it. So right. I don't know.
Does it end up on your plate? Now I'm going to be eagle-eyed about that.
Okay, the thing is, it depends on the coleslaw.
Oh, now we're getting into it.
At Ben's Deli.
Right.
If you skim it from the very top, my mom will know what I'm talking about.
So there's not so much mayo.
Mayo-y.
Right.
And then it's sort of just cabbagey and crunchy and light. It ends up on my plate. Like
there are non-mayo coleslaws like that are more like vinegary.
I would like that.
But right, when you say coleslaw, I think it means a mayo coleslaw. Like that's what you're talking about.
Otherwise, if you're talking about like sliced cabbage and carrots and stuff, like
that's like a different thing.
I love all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so it might wind up on your plate from Ben's under the right circumstances.
It might.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is what comes up at the co-op. But here again, it's like, first of all, okay, in terms of like being a preschool director and like the things like a parent in the preschool or a board member or a parent association member, like completely impossible to say. This is just a book. This book's just a fantasy. Like millions of people would have to resign, step down. You can't say things like that. You can't approach your preschool director and make a comment about the person that they're shtupping in the co-op.
Well, I just wonder.
But also, here's another thing.
Yeah.
You can't be a preschool director having sex in public.
That's what I'm saying.
Both things are true. Both things are true.
She's set up for a very difficult situation here. Like, she's living in this town. This is her community. She's single, and she's the preschool director. And it seems like most of the other people are like, married with kids. So it's just like, she's in
what's a gal to do?
What's a gal to do? Yeah, exactly.
There is a lot of sex in public, though.
Is there a lot of sex in public? There's this one
it's just
scene.
like there's this scene in the car. I mean, the car.
Right,
even.
right, the car.
Also, there was also after the car scene, she like didn't know where her underwear was, and it's like.
Oh right,
really?
She found it on the dashboard.
But
right.
like, what do you mean you didn't put it back? I don't think I understand. So what? She wasn't wearing it.
She wasn't wearing
weird.
it, and she just kind of like
home. Well, she's driving home, airing it out. I don't know.
Right. Like she had a whole drive home. She wasn't drunk because she drove home.
Okay, because either she was drunk and she took an Uber home. What, without your undies?
No, but then her car was there. Like
right, it was her car. She drove.
I think she
thought her undies were in her console of the car, and she was embarrassed. She didn't want her sister to have seen it.
Right. Like, wouldn't she have just grabbed the undies or just put them back on? Like
I just never ever.
I would think it would be uncomfortable to drive, like all the pedals.
I would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you'd want that support.
I would need it. So anyway, some questions.
But it makes the scene more fun.
Oh, everything about it I loved. I'm just wondering about that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Okay, so the thing that's crazy is that he had been seeing someone for 2 years, who Malya and I keep mentioning,
Yes.
Raizel Melfi, who was separated but not divorced because her husband or ex, Josh, wouldn't give her a get. And Raizel Melfi is a parent at the school whose kids are having a hard time, obviously, because some stuff's going on at home, which is that's what's implied. But while Rachel was separated from Josh, she started sleeping with Elon. But it went on for 2 years, and it made Elon feel like he was being used, basically.
Well, Elon kind of thought they were in a relationship. I don't think he saw it as just sleeping together. But then I think he came to realize that Rachel did.
Well, because it was a secret.
It was a secret, and then he overheard her calling him her Lumberjack, right? That was the final nail in the coffin. Well, she said that to another like preschool mom.
Yeah, Elon overheard her calling him a Lumberjack. If it's not clear because we're laughing or we're feeling some way about this, what we're saying is Lumberjack.
Oh, you think we're not enunciating?
Yeah. I'm really crying. It's really funny. Okay.
I think everyone gets it.
Everyone gets it, right?
Yeah, everyone gets it.
Because he's a lumberjack.
He's a lumberjack, right?
And he made her come.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
It's portmanteau.
So here's the thing. He thought they were in a relationship.
Yeah.
But also, like, somewhere inside he knew because it was a secret. And so that wasn't feeling really so good to him, but it went on for a little bit longer than he wanted it to.
Right.
Probably than what felt good, right? So he overheard that. He really realized that he was being used for sex and that it wasn't anything more to her, and it ended. But he was really hurt and did not like feeling like a side piece or like a hookup at all.
Right. No, and then after the Lumberjack incident, then I thought that woman Simcha approached him at somewhere and like propositioned him, basically. Like the word had spread that he could be like all these preschool moms' Lumberjack.
Right. And that he was really upset about that.
Yeah, that made him feel really bad.
But then he starts sleeping with Abby, and there's this like really hot sexual dynamic. But because there's that and also this kind of animosity,
right.
He's sort of like, this is starting to feel bad too. And he makes a comment, and she doesn't exactly get it right away. But then they have this conversation where he's sort of like, I don't want to be used for sex. And she's like, what do you want? And he's like, I guess I'd rather date. And in my head, then they would have like gone on a real date. And instead, one paragraph, they were like enemies having this kind of aggressive, fun whatever.
Totally.
And then to immediately they're in a relationship.
Yes.
And he's going to Shabbat dinner at her parents' house.
Yes.
And they are together.
And she's like telling everyone he's her boyfriend.
And I'm like, what just happened?
Right.
I think there's a bridge. It's like if you're hooking up with someone and you want to see if it has like legs to go somewhere, then the next thing is let's go on dates.
Right.
Let's get to know each other and see if there's something here.
Right.
That's not what happened.
No, they just immediately jump. But, you know, I kind of feel like this happened in Hot Rabbi, too. Hot Rabbi as well. That they were sort of...
This is Hot Rabbi, too.
Exactly. That in that book, David and Shoshana, who are in this book again, too, by the way, because he's still the rabbi and now she's, like, his girlfriend. They live together. They also, like, at first they were resisting because, like, she was, like, disillusioned by Judaism and he was the rabbi and whatever. But, like, basically they jumped also from, like, kind of, like, should we be doing this, sleeping together, to, like, we're in love. I think, like, also pretty quickly.
Right. It feels... There's something about it that felt very fast. I mean, you and I have actually talked about this, about real relationships, where, like, when it is real, like, it actually does sometimes go fast. You know, it's like,
yeah,
things do go quickly, but this didn't. There was something I was missing, like a connection, like something that felt nice other than just the sex.
Yes, like what
else was connecting them?
Right. And, like, why was there so much animosity? They sort of never really addressed that. They just kind of both decided to drop it, and then they just dropped it.
And then it was, like, warm and nice and nurturing.
Immediately.
I know. I liked it, but
I liked it too. But I guess to me that just made me just think the whole thing was just a fake because it was like a fun sex trope to play out.
Possible. For me, there needed to be some kind of in-between bridge, but...
I hear you. I agree.
But I liked what it became. So immediately they're at Shabbat dinner at her parents' house.
Right.
There's a lot of fun, like, familial banter in the book. Like, the way that she writes is, like, conversational and quirky, that you don't see in a lot of romance. We see it more and more of the indie romance that we read, which... But there's something nice about it.
Totally. It's a very real relation. And I guess you do see, like, the prickliness is kind of, like, supposed to be an extension of her. That she's kind of prickly with her sister and prickly with her parents. And just she's a little bit, like, has a hard exterior. I guess that's,
right.
Is that the kind of character Aviva Blakeman likes to write? Because I kind of feel like Shoshana's like that. The main character in Hot Rabbi was sort of like that, too.
Yeah, it must be. For sure, that's what it seems like. The thing is, though, in addition to kind of being that way, which is, like a little prickly, maybe like pokes fun, a little sarcastic.
Yeah, like acerbic. And also, like, gets very upset by, like, she, like, doesn't get the coffee that she likes and, like, her day is ruined. She's, like, in a huff. Like, it just seems like she's very reliant on kind of everything going the way she wants.
Yeah, that's a totally accurate description of her. But and then that's probably why she's also... I need to talk about her day planner.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
there was a lot of talk about that.
A big part of her identity is her day planner, which is not a Google Calendar. It's like... And it's not a Filofax. It's like a specific binder with a specific kind of paper, and she makes her own grids.
Yes.
Which she describes.
Yes. By the way, when was this book written and when is it supposed to be set? Because... go on.
Yeah, it was written, like, not that long ago, like within 2 or 3 years.
Because there's a line when she's at, like, the shul. Oh, yeah, 2022. I don't know, there's a line at the shul where she refers to Ilan as her boyfriend, and this other mom is like, no way. I think it was Simcha. Is like, no
Facebook
way are
official?
you Facebook official. And that seemed very dated to me. Like, does people still say Facebook official?
No, I agree with you. That's a dated thing.
Yeah.
That feels like 17 years old.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah. Because she wasn't like, he's my boyfriend on Facebook. She said, he's my boyfriend. And then she goes, you're Facebook official? But it's like, why would you assume that? I'm not saying that. I'm saying this in real life.
Right. Who's talking about Facebook anyway? Like, yeah. That threw me, that comment. I didn't understand what it was supposed to be signaling exactly. I was almost like, are we supposed to think that this is set in like the 2000s? No. Like
I don't think so. I think something came up about Instagram in it too.
Oh, did it? I missed that.
Or maybe that was just in the acknowledgments in the end, or so. I thought there was something about Instagram in it, but I'm not. I have to look that up. Let me see if I'm right about that. I don't know, but the thing about her planner is that it's such a big part of her identity, and she also like won't let him see it. Like him seeing her planner is like revealing too much. I don't relate to this. If I was so organized that my planner was so I would show it off. Like,
totally.
I can't like if I'm so not that way. So, okay, maybe it's like the equivalent of like someone looking at my phone and seeing that there's like a number in the 40,000s of like unread emails. Like maybe that is like, I'd rather people, that's shameful to me.
Oh, you're saying you wouldn't want people to just see that because they would realize what's going on in there.
Yeah, like what is going on in there? Or like there's like 160 something unlistened to voicemails.
Right. Is there really?
Let me see the number. But it's like, I've seen the text. Like, it's not like on 124, but like, they're not unlistened to. Like, I mean, technically they are, but it's like, I've not missed any important.
I believe you.
Emails or voicemails.
Yeah, you make it work. Whatever. You know how to separate.
It's like, but it's also like the doctor saying there's a appointment next week, and I see the text and I don't delete it.
Yeah.
But I didn't actively listen because it's like transcribed.
I gotcha.
It makes it seem like something's really wrong with me. So is that what's happening? Is that the opposite? Like, is that what's happening with her highly organized Filofax binder, not Filofax? Because again, if I had a Filofax that was color coded and I made my own paper, I would talk about it in every conversation. Look how together I am.
Right, but I think she sees it as shameful. Like, she realizes that it's over the top and that her like relationship with it is like too controlling. And also she describes like she has boxes of all of her past Filofaxes, and like it's very, I think she sees it as shameful.
Right. Like Abigail looking at my phone would be very stressed out.
Oh my God. She couldn't handle it.
Right.
She would like.
But who's the real preschool director and who's just a character in a book?
Good point, Rach.
Yep.
You got her beat.
Yep.
Oh, how did you feel about her talking about her? There's a point where she gets out of her car and she has like a big bag of preschool stuff that she's carrying. Like, I feel like that's a stereotype that like teachers and preschool, like that they're always carrying lots of stuff. But like, is that true? Are you always carrying lots of stuff? I kind of feel like there's just people in the world that are always carrying lots of stuff and people who are not. And it's not really about what their profession necessarily.
Right. It's like it's like either if you collect like the tops of soda bottles for a craft project one day,
right.
Is it because you're a preschool teacher, or is it because you're the kind of person that collects those for a craft project?
Exactly.
Right. At one point, she did put down 3 different bags. And I thought that was very funny the way Aviva wrote that out. It's like first she put down her laptop case, and then she put down her purse, and then she put down her work bag.
Right. But that is a type. I don't necessarily think it's about being a preschool director. I think that that's a type of person.
It's a type. It was her type. But there was this idea that she had a lot of stuff for the preschool and all. Yeah. There are certain things I related to, like the time between the preschool and the Hebrew school coming in. I thought was a very funny, specific thing.
That is funny.
Like an actual part of my life.
Right. That's cute. Yeah.
And then of course, like the board, the teachers, the kids, the parent association, like all of those entities exist.
The rabbi,
like all those entities exist. Colleagues.
Sure. The teacher you want to just retire already.
It's all it's like she got a lot of the Jewish preschool director thing.
Yeah. And what did you think about the guinea? Because the going back to the guinea pigs, the backstory on the guinea pigs was that the teacher that she wishes would just retire, like, decided that the class would have pet guinea pigs and like didn't think it through, and then one of them develops like a stress disorder, and the parents start complaining that the guinea pig looks like it's losing its hair, and she like stomps in and is like, no more class pets, like this is enough, and then adopts the guinea pigs.
Applesauce and sour cream.
Right.
Well, I mean, there is one part of it where it's like when the animal dies in class and then all of a sudden you're like forced to do a whole death curriculum, like that is a real thing.
But do preschools have pets? That seems dated to me too.
Like,
oh, do they?
No, it's like, yes, like sometimes like we did have a hermit crab when I was teaching in Brooklyn, and it died, and it was like a legit death curriculum that we had to do, like an emergent curriculum, because we weren't planning on it, but it's like the hermit crab died, the kids were devastated, you know.
Were they really
devastated? Memorials, yeah, like there was basically like, you know, they had like, they were making things for it, and like, you know, drawing pictures and writing letters. It was like a whole literacy thing. They were like making books and a whole shrine to the hermit crab, and then we were reading books about death. Like, yes, so she's not wrong that like when if the guinea pig were to die, that it was going to have an impact on the class and the kids.
Right.
It's true. But yes, there are classes that raise like chicks. That's like a whole curriculum.
Oh, wow.
Or like, you know, have your kids ever done the butterflies at the end of the year, where like
they've done the butterflies? You know, I forgot about that. They let the butterflies go. Yes, so they do that.
And sometimes those butterflies don't make it, right? And you see that. So it does come up in a preschool classroom sometimes. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. There have been fish.
Oh my God, my kids they went to the preschool camp, and like the last day, like goodbye gift was a goldfish in a bag of water. Which really I thought tricky. Was so like Hamish and weird. Like, what the hell? Who wants a goldfish brought home by your 3-year-old? Now I'm like, what do I do with this goldfish? Like, no warning, no anything. Like, I just have a goldfish in a bag.
What did you do? I don't even want to know.
I brought it to we did a whole thing. We walked to Prospect Park and we released it into the pond.
That was really nice. That was really beautiful. The only time I ever received a goldfish in a bag was at a Purim carnival, probably in like 1989.
Right. So weird.
At like a very Hamish Purim carnival.
It's so Hamish to get a goldfish in a bag.
I won a goldfish in a bag.
Oh my God. What did you do with that?
Put it in some kind of bowl, and then it died.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, anyway, and the WhatsApp, you know, of course, like the parents have a WhatsApp. All the parents are like, did everyone else get this goldfish? Like, what do we do with them? And like a couple of the parents like didn't realize you have to like open the bags. It's like, there's no, so the parents are like, oh shit, like the goldfish died in the bag.
Oh my God.
My kid is devastated.
Oh my God.
It's like a whole clusterfuck about these goldfish. It's very fun.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Whatever. They all got over it.
Yeah, of course, but they'll also learn. It's a big moment.
Sure.
It's a big moment. Mm-hmm, okay. Elon's, like, there wasn't much discussion about, like, his Jewish identity, really. But what's sutlach? There was, like, a time where he was saying his nona made this rice pudding called sutlach.
Yeah, I never heard of that. I don't know. It sounded good, but I don't know what that is.
Well, it did sound delicious, but I just didn't know about that. I was curious if you knew. And then back to the animals named Jewish names. This is what I mean about this town. It's like there's something about this town and like the level of like Judaism, like something about like, okay, there's a scene early on in the book where the Rabbi David's kid, has all these little weird dolls, because now that Shoshana's living with them, Shoshana's crafty. Shoshana would have 1,000 bottle caps, by the way.
Totally.
And like make a whole puppet out of them. So Shoshana's now living with them because Shoshana's with the dad and making all these really weird dolls. And the doll's name is Pinchas.
Of course.
So it's like, where are we? Right? Like, because in the same book, there's a doll named Pinchas. And there's, you know, the guinea pig named Latka. But then Abby's like, is that a salami sandwich? Is it weird that I only like salami with cheese? And then he's like, well, there's also salami with mustard. And it's like, no judgment if you want to eat salami and cheese. It's just like, if you're eating salami and sheet, I just been wondering what's happening. Pinchas, Latka.
And also, all the married moms seem to be actively seeking a Cumberjack. Like, I don't know. That's also like sort of a weird, like, nobody kind of acknowledges the weirdness of that either, I feel. And nobody acknowledges like that. Also, like, the husband won't give her a get, so they're just like living this weird, like, polyamorous lifestyle.
It's not polyamory if they're separated, though.
But separated because he won't give her a get? I also feel like that's not really, he won't give her a get, so, they're polyamorous. Like, what? Like, that's...
No, it's one... If you're separated...
You're not polyamorous.
No.
Right. But they're not really separated, because in the book it's also like they were having an anniversary. They're like pretending, they're like sort of pretending to be together.
Oh.
I don't know. I agree with you. There's like a weird...
Poor Elon.
There's a weird amalgam of sort of like types going on here.
Right.
Totally.
I found it to be really funny, really entertaining, really enjoyable to read.
Yes.
But sometimes I was just like, huh. But back to the animals with Jewish names.
Okay.
Have you known pets with kind of Jewish names?
Well, sure, because the ones that come to mind immediately, my dad had like a lot of birds at one point. In fact, I feel
right, the birds, Shabbos.
Well, Shabbos was the one that stood the test of time, and that my dad insisted could say good Shabbos, although he couldn't. He would just go, wah, wah. My dad insisted it was good Shabbos, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when my dad first met your mom, he had a whole like menagerie. I actually think it was a sign of true love that your mom was okay with that, because there were like 10 birds in my dad's like small apartment, and they were all like they were lovebirds that he had. They were like Akiva and Rachel.
Wow. Akiva, Rachel, Shabbos. Rashi. I feel there was a Rashi.
There was definitely a Rashi. There was, Rabbi Akiva and Rachel. There was a Rashi, and there may have been others.
A note on this, though. One, when my mom loves, she loves very hard.
Of course.
And two, I did grow up with a bird, so it wasn't like this was like a collection of reptiles. Like if he had a collection of snakes or something, like...
Right.
I don't know, what would have been an ick enough that it was like a deal breaker for her. Probably she would have been like, okay, bring the tank of reptiles. I don't know. We'll ask her. She'll let us know. But
when I met William, his mom and dad had 2 beagles, and one of them was named Shayna.
Okay, Shayna's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I knew a bagel maybe, and a Tevya.
Cute.
Yeah, I think that there's some pets with Jewish names. I like it. Okay, Hot Lumberjack.
I thought it was really fun.
Give it a read.
Totally.
Give it a read.
It was a good follow-up.
Oh, it's a great follow-up. I want to know another weird thing going on in this town.
I'd read another one for sure.
I want more.
For sure.
Her sister, maybe something with Leia.
Oh, right. Her twin sister.
I want more.
I could continue on for sure. There was less like theology in this one. I mean, like the hot rabbi explored a lot of theological issues. This one was, a little lighter.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of sex.
That too.
I think we really covered a lot of what we wanted to talk about today with Hot Lumberjack. This
was a deep dive.
Yeah. By the way, they sort of like Rachel apologizes in the end. So does Simcha. There's a reckoning.
Totally. Yeah, it's a happy ending.
And then a reconciliation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mom. Purim's coming up.
Yes.
And last year we read a Purim novella.
I remember.
I was thinking if we can find a Purim book we're interested in reading, it would be nice for our next read. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think we discussed like Purim's actually the sexiest holiday.
Oh, definitely. It really is. I guess I think many holidays are sexy, but Purim definitely is the sexiest.
Purim is the most overtly sexy.
Hamantaschen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they all have potential in different ways, but Purim's it's right out there.
It's out there, and I want to read another one, but I was thinking maybe we should pick one together.
Great.
Okay, so Roz Alexander wrote one.
Oh.
Roz wrote Higher, the book that we reviewed with Becky.
That was a great one.
I loved Higher.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I feel like maybe we'd love Roz's other book. Okay, do you want to hear the description? Well, here's the title. It's called Mask for Purim. Okay, yay. Book overview. Does true love have an expiration date? What about forgiveness? It's part of a series called Hot for the Holidays, and it's short, if that's helpful to know. It's 150 pages. Okay. Every year, tomboy femme Liza plans the perfect party for Purim, and every year she goes alone. She's convinced her role as holiday host is enough to find happiness, but lately the nights have gotten lonelier. Carrie, a.k.a. Liza's first love, a.k.a. the butch who broke her heart into a million pieces, is back in town and determined to win Liza back. Carrie has spent the last 10 years unlearning the internalized ableism that reared its head after her diagnosis of progressive vision loss and regretting leaving Liza. Their inexperience and inability to be vulnerable with one another may have driven them apart the first time, but has the last decade taught them both to be brave? Luckily, they have the whole Megillah to figure it out. A Mask for Purim is an angsty, steamy, second-chance romance novella between a bisexual butch and her tomboy lesbian. It's a standalone part of the Hot for the Holidays series.
That sounds good.
That's one option.
Great.
I want to read more just because I want to pick one with you, but I could totally stop there and just read that. But I think we should read more. But that would be good.
That one sounds good. Although if there's others that you thought were promising, I'll hear about them too.
Okay. So then there's some like strange stuff where it's like, I can't tell if it's like retelling of the Purim story, if it's a romance. I can't exactly tell what's going on, but like, here's an example. A reluctant queen, the love story of Esther. You've read it as a biblical tale of courage. Experience it anew as a heart-stirring love story. Okay, never mind, not confusing. It's a romance. She was a simple girl faced with an impossible choice. He was a magnificent king with a lonely heart. Their love was the divine surprise that changed the course of history. The beloved story of Esther springs to fresh life in this inspired novel that vibrates with mystery, intrigue, and romance. It's a retelling of the Purim story. You're not as interested. Okay, then there's Esther, a dangerous beauty novel, book 1. Royal Beauty. Let me find that description. When an ambitious tyrant threatens genocide against the Jews, an inexperienced young queen must take a stand for her people. Okay, another retelling.
Okay. Are you into the retelling thing? I feel like... If you feel strongly about it, I would go with it. But I just feel like it's a little, like... We could just talk about the actual Purim story. Like, I don't need a retelling.
I mean, if I have an option between a retelling or a sexy tomboy lesbian...
The choice is clear. Come on. We know your professed love for Jordan. We already know.
Everyone knows.
The second season, we all know what we're exploring here. So,
everyone knows.
Yes, exactly.
Should we see if there's any more Appetites and Vices? That was another Felicia Grossman. I just wanted to see if that had a Purim through line. What was the story? There was what holiday was the Felicia Grossman book? There was a holiday in that one, wasn't there? Or something came up? I don't remember.
I don't know.
The Felicia Grossman book. That was like Cinderella or...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was Lag BaOmer, Shavuot, something like that?
Maybe, yeah, something like that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Not Purim. Okay. Let me see what else I can find here. Oh, and then I found something. Also, you're maybe going to say no, but do you remember in the Shira Glassman book, which was Knit 1, Girl 2?
Mm-hmm, sure.
There was like a whole like separate fan fiction world of books.
Yes.
Tales from Perach.
Yes.
So there's like a whole nother world of these books that she wrote called Tales from Perach.
Oh, wow.
And there's a Purim one, something about Purim, and it sounds wild.
Okay.
And I was thinking, Tales from Perach, Mangoverse Book 5. But what's the Mangoverse? I don't know.
Mangoverse book 5. Wow. All right.
7 queer fantasy shorts set in the tropical Jewish world of the Mangoverse novels. It's like a tropical Jewish world. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
That sounds kind of good.
I want to know. Okay, The Generous Princess is the Purim one. A royal family with 2 moms and 2 dads puts their own special twist on celebrating Purim. It's called The Generous Princess. It's a part of Tales from Perach, and it takes place in the Mangoverse. What is happening? I don't know, but I'm interested.
Maybe we should read that one. Just
I'm
because
really
it sounds
interested.
wacko. Is it short? Like, what's the length on that?
Oh, it has to be, because it says 129, and is that all of the Tales from Perach?
Every time you say Perach, I want to laugh.
How would you pronounce it?
No, that's right. I think that's right. It's just funny.
I'm gonna read it.
Okay.
Okay, here's the thing. I think they might both be very short.
So we could read both, you're saying?
I think we should read both.
Okay.
I think we should read Mask for Purim by Raizel Alexander and The Generous Princess, which is Shira Glassman's Purim story. Yeah.
Tales from the Mangoverse.
Oh, wait a minute, but there's Tales from the Mangoverse, Tales from Perach. Yeah.
Right, got it. Wait, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just a little confused about which is what's what exactly. It's like book 5 of 5. It's a 5-book series. But follow young Queen. Let me just hold on.
Okay.
Follow young Queen Shulamit from the beginning of her reign as a chronically ill, newly orphaned, poor little rich girl with no experience leading through her transformation to a driven, intellectual, passionately moral, symbolic mother of her people, and with all the assistance she needs to manage her food allergies. The individual stories cover plots like undoing curses, convincing a neighbor king to pay his workers fairly, solving mysteries including the theft of a priceless stolen violin, and saving the country's farms from an international sabotage plot. Shulamit is a femme lesbian who ends up happily partnered by the end of her first book, and the series features other F/F relationships plus M/M and M/F, including with trans characters as well as asexual representation. Jewish holidays are featured in all of the books, and you'll also get your fill of dragons, witches, potions, worker justice, and gender equality.
Wow. Okay, that's a wide-spanning story there.
I feel so lucky that we're the podcasters of Jewish romance.
Absolutely.
Like, and all of this exists.
Look at this rich material. I mean, these episodes record themselves, let's be honest.
Okay, so Tales from Perach, the Purim story within that.
Great.
The Generous Princess and A Mask for Purim are our 2 next reads. They're probably going to be in 1 episode.
Yeah.
1 Purim episode. Coming at you.
Very exciting.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Okay. So this podcast is produced by William Levin, brought to you by Hanukkah Pong, menorah-shaped beer pong, available on Amazon all year round. I gotta mention it every episode because someone could be listening, these episodes live on forever.
Absolutely.
It's always brought to you by Hanukkah Pong, and it was great chatting tonight.
Same.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Bye.